Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of Let's Play Skyrim. Last time we acquainted ourselves with Whiterun by kind of clearing out the streets and doing the quests for the beggars, since that's the first place we arrived. Now I've been thinking about how to tackle the buildings, what order I should go in, and I decided the place to go first, or places to go first, are the places where, number one, there's no way for me to make the people friendly eventually, and number two, that don't have any associated quest of any kind, and I'm just going in to loot them. So with that in mind, we're going to start off with the guard barracks. So I need to chase down the one named NPC, Commander Caius, and see what he's got for pickpocketing and talk to him. So we have an ale, cooked beef, 5 gold, a silver emerald necklace. Now that's going to be tough to steal.
I'm the commander of the guard here in Whiterun.
So we should probably try and get hidden for that. 18 is pretty low odds. Oh, in fact, we were undetected.
My boys will be safe. Don't you worry.
It's 0 if we are detected. So there's that. Let's grab the other state things. A silver ring and a belted tunic. Now we have an 18% shot at the silver emerald necklace.
By order of the Jarl, stop right there. By order of the Jarl, stop right.
So we're just gonna have to work on this.
By order of the Jarl, stop right.
Until we get on the right side.
You have committed crimes against Skyrim and...
Which still isn't that bad.
You have committed crimes against Skyrim.
Shouldn't take more than 10 or so tries.
By order of the Jarl, stop right. By order of the Jarl, stop.
Of course, it rarely works that well in practice.
By order of the Jarl, stop right. You have committed crimes against Skyrim. You have committed crimes against Skyrim. You have committed crimes against Skyrim. By order of the Jarl, stop right. By order of the Jarl,
while I'm going through this, let me explain. Oh, never mind, we got it that time. Pickpocket to 69. Let's keep talking to
Don't even think about it.
Illusion to 28. Well, good.
You're not thinking of causing trouble here in this beautiful city now, are you? Because I'd strongly advise against such foolishness. Yes? What is it?
Alright, that's it for him. And he's the only named NPC in any of the barracks. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, if you know the details, well, if he says the barracks will never have things free to take, well, he's already picked a side in the Civil War. And I have. I've decided that way on down the line, when it's time to play the Civil War, I'm going to side with the Empire. Now, let me explain my reasoning. For me, it operates on 2 levels. There's the macro level, which is, the obvious question is the Thalmor, right? Now, short term, like, you know, now, during Ulfric's lifetime, there's pretty much no question that the Empire is odious. Because the Empire is in power. They're the ones who allow the Thalmor to have a presence in Skyrim. They're the ones who allow the Thalmor to drag heretics off to prisons in the middle of the night. And that's awful. And if you side with the Stormcloaks, they do kick out the Thalmor and restore Talos worship. So that's a point for the Stormcloaks, for sure. But that's only short term. If you think about the long game, both the Thalmor and the Empire, I think it's Ondolamar, when he's at the Thalmor embassy, as well as General Tullius and Legate Ricca, all, they don't even really hint at it. They basically come out and say that both sides are planning to get the war back on sooner rather than later. And so you know that the Empire and the Thalmor are going to go to war again. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, who do you want to win that war? Well, it should be obvious. You want the Empire to win that war. Because if the Empire can vanquish the Thalmor, there's no reason to think that they would continue to enforce a ban on Talos worship. That's just silly. In fact, everything indicates that they want to vanquish the Thalmor and restore things to the way they were. So, if Skyrim is independent, there's basically just no question that the odds of the Thalmor winning that war increase exponentially, versus an intact empire, and I do use the term intact loosely because it would still just be High Rock, Skyrim, and Cyrodiil, but those three provinces unified have a much, much better chance of winning that war than Cyrodiil, High Rock, and Skyrim effectively on their own. Now, High Rock wouldn't be away from the Empire because Skyrim was, but Skyrim is the connecting province, so their union doesn't really mean much unless Skyrim is part of it. So long term, I think the Thalmor are a point in the Empire's favor. So we're back to an even score. Now, I'm going to take it down to, there are actually 3 levels I think about it on. So now I'm going to take it down to the mid-level. Who do I want to be High King or Queen? There's Elisif and there's Ulfric. Now, I don't particularly like either of them. It's absolutely true that Elisif would be little more than a puppet of the Empire. But then I have to ask myself, is that really such a bad thing? When I look at Ulfric, I have to decide that the answer is no. I noticed that when I sided with Ulfric, and I've played through the Civil War both ways, Ulfric's kind of a dick. And virtually everyone you talk to besides Ulfric tells you, pretty point blank, that the war is really about Ulfric wanting to be High King of Skyrim. And the fact that the Talos thing wasn't really an issue, everybody still had their little shrine, and nothing was wrong until Ulfric started agitating about it, lends some credence to that theory. Furthermore, and I'll talk about this again later, Ulfric's just a racist prick, and I don't want him running Skyrim. I don't think he deserves to be High King. Elisif, she's pretty ineffectual and will just do as she's told, but, if what she's told is to govern the way the Empire governs, which is more money, more equality amongst the races, and all that good stuff, then I ultimately think she'll be better than Ulfric will. So, that's a point for the Empire. And then here's where the Empire really starts racking up points. The bottom level I think about are the governments of each hold. These are people you actually get to meet in the game. So for Hofengar hold, it's irrelevant because Elisif stays Jarl, whichever side you choose. So no point. Right now, the Empire's ahead by 1 point. So then in Hjalmarch, I prefer Idgrad Ravencrone to Sorley the Builder. So that's a point for the Empire. If we think about the Reach, I greatly prefer Jarl Igmund to Thongbor Silverblood, so that's a point for the Empire. 3 points in favor of the Empire now. When I think about Falkreath, I don't particularly like either Sidgeir or Dengeir. I think that Dengeir is ultimately a bit of a paranoid conspiracy theorist. I mean, he has you break into Laud's house because he suspects him of conspiring with the Empire, and Laud tells you that, he was a loyal bodyguard to Dengeir for years and years, and Dengeir just means nothing to him. Sidgeir is a pompous, lazy prick, but he leaves the running of his hold to Nenya, and she seems to do just fine. So I would rather keep that structure in place. So that's another point for the Empire in Falkreath. The 2 northern holds, Dawnstar, Jarl Skald, or the Pale. Jarl Skald is an asshole. There's no question that Brina Marilis is better. A point for the Empire. Same thing with Winterhold. Corir is xenophobic and he hates mages just because he's a prick. Kraldar, nice guy, respects the college the way I think he should. Another point for the Empire. Whiterun. Absolutely prefer Balgruf to Vignar Greymane. Yet another point for the Empire. Eastmarch. Because Ulfric is such a racist tool, I greatly prefer to have Brunwulf Freewinter as the Jarl of Eastmarch. So, yet another point for the Empire. And finally, the only exception is in the Rift. I actually do like Jarl Layla Lawgiver a lot better than Maven Blackbriar. So that's a point for the Stormcloaks, but I end up with the Empire 7 points ahead. That means I'm going to side with the Empire. That means Whiterun is never going to change hands. That means that the gear in the barracks will never be free to take, which is why I'm stealing it now. There you go. start by pickpocketing these guards. I already
look
did.
tired, friend.
I already did that, didn't I?
The banner
Yes.
mayor has beds for rent.
Alright, well, let's just steal this stuff. I've already read Real Baron's Eye V3. Thank goodness. It's a long book. Interesting read, though. I liked it anyway. So far, nothing but clutter. Copy of Beggar Prince, which we've also already read. And now, the front room. Things get more interesting in here. We can get
Everything all right?
a decent amount of this stuff over his shoulder. What's the matter, guard? Someone stole your sweet roll. Ah, we can steal all of it over his shoulder. My mistake.
Heard about you
No.
and your honeyed
He
words.
just stays put there, so I'm just going to give him the head cover treatment in order to get all this stuff. 3 gold, blue robes, and I got a bear pelt and a deer hide. What excellent news. I need 11 more bear pelts, and I need 2 more deer hides. That's it. Let's go down a level. Don't be alarmed by that sound. It's the sound of my courage spell wearing off.
You should talk to the yard.
Illusion to 29. Delightful. Let's go. Let's go hit the other barracks now, just for consistency's sake. While continuing to make sure
Trouble in Whiterun and
I've pickpocketed every guard I run
falling into
across.
the Dragonsreach dungeon might...
How's my carry weight? I should be able to handle the other barracks.
I'm here to buy food, Lizzie. Come to chat with an old woman. Worry about that. Do your good.
Only the farm does
Cuts fresh from the wilds.
I'm kind of changing my mind. I don't think I'll do anything except go with geography. The guard barracks I just looted is also just happens to be the first place you run across. And I'm gonna do the other barracks now just for consistency. Then, who knows what I'll do.
What is it?
Let's pickpocket these fellows.
What do you think you're...
Oh, seems like it's always a bad
Get
idea
away
to
from
go
me.
for 2 at once, but it really isn't, I swear. Okay. Let's start on this side of the room. It's kind of hard to operate because these guys never
God gave
leave.
you 2 hands.
They
You
just-
use them both for your weapon. I can
They
respect
just
that.
kind of switch places back and forth, so you can do this, but it's horribly tedious. Typically, if you wait long enough, they'll eventually arrange themselves in a pattern where you can get most of this stuff undetected. Let's steal the green apples from there. Let's pick open the display case. Steal the steel battle axe. Yes, courage a few more times. Illusion goes to 30. How about up here? Good. Cut over a little too far. Visible now. Alright, I hear them on the move, so I'd better be careful.
Go cast your fancy magic someplace else.
Point of fact, they are on the move. Where'd my cheese wheel go? There it is. Okay. We can actually loot the cupboard. Nothing terribly useful inside. Such is life. Alright, looks like we have a great opportunity to go after this table. So I'm gonna do that. Let's do these shelves. So they can be tough to get to. How's my carry weight? See, we've read a biography of Baranziah, Volume 1. I think we only have Volume 3 left of the official biography. We've read Cats of Skyrim. Read Galarian the Mystic. Read the First Hold Revolt. We have not read this. The Alduin-Akatosh Dichotomy. And another snippet that shouldn't be in there. By Alexander Simon, High Priest of the Akatosh Chantry, Wayrest. As High Priest of the Akatosh Chantry, I have dedicated my life to the service of the Great Dragon, he who was first at the beginning, he who is greatest and most powerful of all the divines, he who is the very embodiment of infinity. I am, quite obviously, a man of deep and unwavering faith, but not blind faith, for I am also a man of scholarly endeavors, and have always valued education and the pursuit of truth in all its forms. And so I have had the honor and privilege of making it my life's work to discover the truth about Akatosh in all of our beloved divines' incarnations. Throughout the civilized world, and I refer not only to the Empire, but to every nation on Great Nirn that has embraced the virtues of learning and letters, the Great Dragon is worshipped. Usually the highest of divines is referred to as Akatosh, but what some may not be aware of is that he is occasionally referred to by two other names as well. The Aldmer refer to Akatosh as Ariel, the Nords call him Alduin. These names come up repeatedly in certain ancient texts, and in each one it is clear that the deity in question is none other than he whom we call Akatosh. Yet there are those who believe, even in this enlightened age, that this is not so, that the regional interpretations of Akatosh are not interpretations of Akatosh at all. Rather, they are references to altogether different deities, deities who may or may not share the same aspects, or be the great dragon at all. Many Altmer of Somerset Isle worship Ariel, who is the soul of Anuiel, who in turn is the soul of Anu, the everything. But if you ask the High Elves themselves, as I did when I traveled to Somerset Isle to continue my research, the majority will concede that Ariel is but Akatosh with a different name, colored by their own cultural beliefs. So maybe it comes as no surprise that the real theological dissension lies in Skyrim, among the Nord people, renowned as much for their stubbornness as they are their hardiness and prowess on the fields of valor. When I journeyed to the stark White Province, I was surprised to find a people whose views on Akatosh are almost diametrically opposed to those of the Altmer. The majority of Nord people seem to believe that their Alduin of legend is not Akatosh, but another deity entirely. A great dragon, yes, but not the great dragon. Determined to get to the heart of this matter, I consulted with several Nords, chief among them an old and respected clan chief by the name of Bjorn Much-Bloodied. And what surprised me most about those I talked to was not that they believed in Alduin instead of Akatosh, but that they recognized Alduin in addition to Akatosh. In fact, most children of Skyrim seem to view Akatosh in much the same way I do. He is, in fact, the great dragon, first among the divines, perseverance personified, and more than anything, a force of supreme good in the world. Alduin, they claim, is something altogether different. Whether or not he is actually a deity remains in question, but the Alduin of Nord folklore is in fact a dragon, but one so ancient and so powerful he was dubbed the World Eater. And some accounts even have him devouring the souls of the dead to maintain his own power. Other stories revolve around Alduin acting as some sort of dragon king, uniting the other dragons in a war against mankind, until he was eventually defeated at the hands of one or more brave heroes. It is hard to deny that such legends are compelling, but as both high priest and scholar I am forced to ask that most important of questions: where is the evidence? The Nords of Skyrim place a high value on their oral traditions, but such is the core of their unreliability. A rumor passed around the Wayrest market square can change so dramatically in the course of a few simple hours that by the end of the day one might believe half the city's residents were involved in any number of scandalous activities. How then is an educated, enlightened person possibly supposed to believe a legend that has been passed down by word of mouth only for hundreds or even thousands of years? The answer to such a question is simple: he cannot. And so it is my conclusion that the Alduin of Nord legend is in fact mighty Akatosh, whose story grew twisted and deformed through centuries of retelling and embellishment. Through no real fault of their own, the primitive peoples of Skyrim failed to understand the goodness and greatness of the great dragon. And it was this lack of understanding that formed the basis of what became, ironically, their most impressive creative achievement, Alduin, the World Eater, phantom of bedtime stories and justification for ancient, if imagined, deeds. Oh, he couldn't be more wrong. We've already read Chance's Folly. We've read Real Baron's Eye, Volume 2. Looks like we're going to have a shot at this table, as long as we move fast. Perfect. Good, this room is clear. My carry weight's at 267, so I'm probably going to have to make a second trip, but that's fine. In this hallway, we've got an iron helmet, iron boots, a basket. Let's hit up these shelves. Up to 285. Let's stick to this hallway for now. Up to 291. 294. Let's go over here. Up to 297. That's all the loose stuff. We're at 298. And we're done. Time to go offload. Carry weight's maxed out. That's the one we already picked. Oh, we've already pickpocketed more than one of these guys. Well, I guess, duh. It's the night shift that's in here sleeping right now, of course. Okay, well, let's go offload then, and then come back. Not at all, brotastic. Illusion to 31.
Shiny come to chat with an old woman.
Oh, here, let's talk to...
Oh, a bit of this, a bit of that.
We can go ahead and talk to Anoriath, because he'll buy food from us. We can do the same with Carlotta Valentia at the other stall, but I don't think we'll need to. I do need to check and see if Arcadia's done glitching. She is. Good.
Pardon me. Take a look.
Oh, no potions. Okay.
Come back anytime.
That's easy enough. I don't have much that isn't stolen. In fact, I think food is probably it, so I'll just
take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find
drop by Bellathor real quick.
Some may call this junk. Me, I call them
Make certain of
treasures.
that. Well, a few jugs. But that's
Do
it.
come back.
Alright. Time to bounce back to Anis's.
Go cast your fancy magic something.
Well, I wanted to hit him, but I guess it doesn't matter. Get Mage Light ready. And drop off all my stolen stuff. We've only been going 20 minutes. 25 minutes. And it won't take us long to finish the barracks, so I think I need to pick another location. We'll keep going for about an hour every time and just do as many buildings as I can until, of course, we've done all of Whiterun. All of that is stolen. Same with all of that. Same with all of these. And any clutter in here save the two useful things I found, the bear pelt and the deer hide. Keep all my empty soul gems, too. And down we go. Drop the bear pelt and deer hide in here. Drop my ingredients in here. And get right back to work. You can see we've cast... Mage Light is not a very fast way to level Alteration at all. But it's better than nothing. On the other hand, you've no doubt noticed that Illusion is going up pretty darn fast. And it'll speed up even more. Actually, Courage might be a little bit faster than using Muffle, but Muffle is just so convenient because you don't even need to hit a target. You just have to spam the spell over and over and over again. As soon as we're able to cast it, we'll just start doing that until Illusion hits 100. Illusion to 32. Muffle costs 116. Typically when it says 100, I'm still not able to cast it. It usually has to drop to 99 or less
Chops and steaks
before you can cast a spell with 100 magicka, like you started with. So let's bounce back in here. Pick up right where we left off.
You lost? Go cause your fancy.
Not at all,
It's someplace
gentlemen. But I appreciate your concern.
Destroyed by a dragon. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, we got all the good stuff off of all these guys. So I was in this room. I had to leave off at this wardrobe, and I was working my way over to the left. Alright, now let's go to the back room first, where they all actually sleep. I'm going to shut that door. I just have to take care of my movements, because guys are sleeping in here, so I just have to not make too much noise, and I should be fine. Hey, bro. Make sure you check under beds, too. Sometimes they stick pretty valuable stuff in there. We've read the Arcturian Heresy. A sapphire? That's crazily valuable for clutter out of a wardrobe. Awesome. Let's go over to the other side. Okay. Almost missed those iron gauntlets. And now let's do this room. I'll show you why I saved it for last. This is the escape route from the Dragonsreach dungeon. So I'll show you the escape route while I'm down here. Or more accurately, I'll show you where your cell is if you do get caught or sent to jail. And what you can do from here, they're empty now because I haven't been arrested, but we've got some expert locks to pick just purely for experience. Starting with the evidence chest. Damn, never got near the sweet spot. It's over here. And the prisoner belongings chest. Also an expert lock. We got lockpicking to 39. That's cool. Damn. We haven't dealt with a master lock yet. Those things are giant pains in the ass. As they should be, I suppose. Okay. Now what else is up here? If you're coming out, you'll notice I pulled a lever to open that gate. If you're leaving, you just drop through this hole, and you find yourself on the other side that way. Let's make our way through these tunnels. Not a whole lot going on. We're underneath the jail cells now. There's a basket to grab. And over here, there's a dead skeever. Guess what we're gonna do? Yep, you know. Remember, they can't survive sneak attacks, so just going for conjuration experience with that. Let's keep on creeping. I don't actually think there's anything left to find. I'm just showing you these tunnels because I never plan on getting sent to jail. This is the escape route. Yeah, that's it. Oh, a lantern. So this is the cell you get tossed into. And just remember the novice locked loose grate. You can, if you do get thrown in jail, you can pick that lock and drop down here and get out this way. Anyway, my carry weight's at 171. The barracks is done. Where should I go next? I think logically speaking, if we're starting at the front gate, the next location would either be War Maidens or the Drunken Huntsman. Tell you what I'll do. I'll finish off the left side, since I started with the barracks, and then move right.
Those illusions.
So the next place we're going to go is the Drunken Huntsman. And that's a bit involved. Drunken Huntsman has 5 residents. That would be Elrindir, the owner, Honoriath, his brother, who runs the stall out here in the market. There's Nazim and Alam, married couple. They own Chilfro Farm. They don't have a house in the city. They stay on the top floor of the Huntsman. And Janassa, a dark elf mercenary who hangs out there. Illusion to 33, and I gained a level. I'll put that point into health, and hoard the perk as usual. Muffles down to 115. Now this place gets a bit tedious, mainly because you can never make Elrindir trust you, and he always follows you around. So you kind of have to play for speed. And you have to do a lot of that annoying moving of stuff. Anyway, start with the top floor bedroom. We've read the 30-year timeline. Charcoal and gold inside that end table. Jug on top of the wardrobe. Hat inside. Pot next to it. Inside the chest, 4 gold. Jug, bowl, alto wine. Red apple. 6 gold in the end table. This bedroom's clear. Let's talk to everybody's favorite dude.
Do you get to the cloud? Of course you don't.
Everyone hates Nazim.
Oh, I actually advise the Jarl on political matters. It is invaluable, of course, but this is all probably a bit over your head.
Well, I bowled right over one of his lines, which is, "Oh, it took years, but I earned my way to the top. I own Chilfurrow Farm, just outside the city. You see, very successful business, obviously. That's it for Nazim. Thank goodness. So let's pick his pocket.
I trust you aren't considering it
Oh, but I am.
thievery.
Alto wine, amethyst,
Keep your hands to yourself.
70 gold, or 70 pickpocket, that's good. He's got 40 gold, a key to Chilfro Farmhouse, a key to
Are you married? You look the type.
Let's talk
Make sure
to
you treat
Alam,
your
because
wife
she's
with the
here.
respect she deserves. Here you stand, talking to a married woman. Why? Am I that interesting? Other things on your mind.
34 illusion.
Men are all alike, from Skyrim to Hammerfell. They care only for war and politics, and treat their women like cattle. Need something?
Okay, that's all her lines. Now let's take the key to Wintersand Manor, even though Wintersand Manor doesn't exist.
Filthy.
I guess they were supposed to have their own house, but they never programmed it in. Mead, haunch, a ring of minor destruction. I know fortified destruction, so... Pickpocket to 71. I know fortify smithing. But pickpocket to 72. And a gold necklace. Not bad, all things considered. Alright. Let's pickpocket Alam, since we already talked to her. 12 gold, key to the non-existent Wintersand Manor. Lockpick, pickpocket 73. Salt pile. Boy, she's really hoarding her salt here. And 2 silver rings. There's 1, and there's 2. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to Elrin here, since he's up here.
Ah, hello, my Nord friend. In the market for some hunting supplies? Hello, friend. In the market for some hunting supplies? Hagraven or Horker, it matters not. We've got the arrows to fell any game. So what can I get you? Yes, yes, I haven't got all day.
Okay, that's it for him, so why the name Drunken Huntsman?
Yes, I hear that question often. My brother Honorius and I came up with it one night after consuming rather too much mead. After our drinks, we went out for a moonlight hunt. We got separated, and in his drunken state, my brother mistook me for a deer. He shot an arrow that pierced my, well, rump. After such a memorable adventure, we knew we had the name for our shop.
Who should I talk to for work?
Try Hulda, the innkeeper at the Bannered Mare. It's just up the road near the market. You should check in at Dragonsreach too. There's so much going on these days. The Jarl or his steward might have need of help.
Fair enough.
Thank you very much for your visit.
Okay, let's pick his pockets. He had, wow.
You're not kidding.
A longbow. Butter. 18 gold.
Never. Filthy.
Come on. A lockpick. Nord mead. Yeah, we're gonna have to be hidden to steal, have any shot at that. Silver garnet ring. 20 steel arrows. And I have to successfully hide myself if I want his gold diamond ring. Where did he go? Oh, he's back down here. How odd. Let's finish casting. Let's get the ring. And just get him to quit turning. There we go. Yeah, relax and tend your counter. 14. Those are not great odds, but they'll serve us. Come on. Okay, 14 isn't that low. There we go. Pickpocket to 75. Beautiful. Now let me see if Honorius is in here. He is. He's asleep. Let's pick his pocket first. Good lord. Hunting bow. Alto wine. 15 gold. Porker loaf. Lockpick. A silver sapphire necklace. Pickpocket to 77. A ring of minor illusion. Now that I don't think I have yet. Nope. So we'll be disenchanting that. And 20 iron arrows. Pickpocket to 78. Beautiful.
Need something? Talk to my brother, Elrendir. The plains outside Whiterun are ripe with game. What can I do for you? Need something?
That's it. He has hardly any dialogue. Illusion to 35. Let's get the last person in here. That would be Janassa. She's got an iron dagger.
Blade and shadow, silence and death. These are my arts. For a modest fee, I'll make great. I know nothing of fear and nothing of remorse. Pay my fee, and together we will vanquish any foe. Death is my art, and like all artists, I seek a patron. For a mere handful of gold, I will follow you into any danger. I am a lethal instrument, yours to command for a modest sum. I suggest you hire me before one of your enemies does. And what might you need,
Okay, you're a mercenary?
I am an artisan, painting in strokes of blood red upon the canvas of life. But yes, I will take coin to fight at your side. After all, where is the value in creating art if there is nobody left alive to see it?
Another time, perhaps.
If you change your mind, seek me out here. Walk always in shadows, so that you will see your foes before they see you.
Okay.
Blade and shadow, and death.
Now we've got to get
These are
all
my
the stuff
arts.
on the ground
For a
floor,
modest
but let me take a little break. And we're back, and I do apologize for the hiccup.
I'll make great art for you.
Let's start with this bedroom. Let's break these 3 picks, and then open the apprentice-locked strongbox. Lockpicking to 40. But now he's in the room. So I'll come back to get my 272 gold.
I know nothing of fear and nothing of remorse. Pay
Cleared
my
out
fee,
Janassa's
and
table
together we will vanquish
with a little
any
bit of
foe.
speed. Boots, clothes, jug. Alright. See if we can get this corner table. Nope, it's just too brightly lit. So even standing in there like he is, he can see me. I disappeared from sight for a second. Not sure how I did it, but it's something I should look into recapturing. There we go. Good. Cleared out that table. Let me check the carry again. This illusion goes to 36, and I gain another one. And we'll do the same thing with this one. Put the stat point into health. Hold on to the perk. Cost of muffles down to 114. Alright. Now let's go get this little nook. Empty sack, empty wardrobe, empty barrel. Fish barrel. And there he is. He's quick. This bucket is the last thing from that nook. Let's grab it. Rising Threat Volume 3. That one we haven't read. Rising Threat Volume 3 by Lathanil of Sunhold. The following is the account of Lathanil of Sunhold, an Altmer refugee from Somerset Isle who came to Cyrodiil in the early years of the Fourth Era. According to Lathanil, he did not flee the aftermath of the Oblivion Crisis in Somerset. Rather, he fled the darkening shadow of the Thalmor upon my beloved homeland. Lathanil had a very intense presence, to put it politely, and some of his accusations of Thalmor involvement border on madness. This may be why his fervent warnings and outspoken criticisms of the Thalmor and the Aldmeri Dominion went unheeded, but history has at least partially vindicated Lathanil's claims. Praxis erratuim, imperial historian. Ever so cautiously, I formed a cabal made up of others who distrusted the motives and methods of the Thalmor. Over several months, I liquidated my ancestral holdings and took whatever inheritance I could without raising any suspicions. I would follow after Rhinandor and help him restore his reputation and status. We would then return to best the Thalmor at their own game and win back the mores and morals of the Altmer. The rest of my cabal would stay on Somerset Isle and win the trust of the Thalmor on whatever level best suited each of them, sending clandestine missives to me when possible. After weeks of painstaking investigations and exorbitant bribes, I was able to learn that Rhinandor was placed on a ship to Anvil. I booked my own passage to Anvil. My search almost ended there, for Rhinandor had never arrived in Anvil harbor. My instinct that Rhinandor met a duplicitous end was confirmed when I sought out several of the deckhands who were reported to be aboard Rhinandor's vessel. All died under mysterious and violent circumstances. The first of many attempts on my life occurred soon after. Needless to say, I survived, but my grand plan to stymie the Thalmor fell apart without an esteemed leader to rally behind. I went into hiding, waiting anxiously for word of the Thalmor's activities back on Somerset Isle. Over the following years, I tried to bend the ear of the Empire through various avenues and warn them of the Thalmor's doings. The Empire, however, was having enough troubles dealing with the aftermath of the Oblivion Crisis within its own borders without seeking trouble in faraway Somerset. With the assassination of Emperor Uriel Septim VII and his heirs, and the self-sacrifice of Martin Septim, the true savior of Somerset Isle and the rest of Tamriel, the Empire's leadership was left defunct. High Chancellor Okato convened the full Elder Council in an unsuccessful bid to select a new emperor. Without an emperor, the empire beyond the reach of Cyrodiil began to splinter. Okato reluctantly agreed to become the potentate under the terms of the Elder Council Charter until imperial rule could be re-established, but a reluctant leader is rarely a strong leader. Potentate Okato made admirable efforts to rein in the bedlam that threatened to rip the empire apart, and was even making headway when Red Mountain erupted and destroyed much of Vardenfell, likely from Thalmor tampering, but I have yet to find proof of their misdeeds in this. What was left of Morrowind was thrown into absolute chaos. The effects of the eruption were felt even in Black Marsh, destroying roads and cutting off the Imperial garrisons there. None were prepared for what happened next. A Dream of Sovngarde. That's another new book. In a few hours I will likely be dead. My men and I, Nords of Skyrim all, will soon join with the Emperor's legions to attack the Imperial City. The Aldmeri are entrenched within, and our losses will be severe. It is a desperate gambit, for if we do not reclaim the city, we will lose the war. Last night I prayed to mighty Talos for courage and strength in the battle to come. In these last cold hours before the sun rises, I sit down to write this account of a dream I had not long after. I believe this dream was the answer to my prayers, and I would pass along the wisdom it contained to my kinsmen for the battles they will fight in the years after my passing. In the dream I walked through mists towards the sound of laughter, merriment, and the songs of the north. The mists soon cleared, and before me lay a great chasm. Waters thundered over its brim, and so deep it was I could not see the bottom. A great bridge made all of whalebone was the only means to cross, and so I took it. It was only a few steps onto the bridge that I encountered a warrior, grim and strong. "I am Tsoon, master of trials," he said to me, his voice booming and echoing upon the walls of the high mountains all around us. With a wave he bade me pass on. I knew in my heart that I was granted passage only because I was a visitor. Should the hour come when I return here after my mortal life, the legends say that I must best this dread warrior in single combat. Beyond the bridge, a great stone longhouse rose up before me, so tall as to nearly touch the clouds. Though it took all my strength, I pushed open the towering oaken door and beheld the torchlit feast hall. Here were assembled the greatest heroes of the Nords, all drinking mead poured from great kegs and singing battle songs. Suckling pigs turned on a long iron spit over a roaring fire. My mouth watered at the smell of roast meat, and my heart was glad to hear the songs of old. "Come forth," cried a hoary man who sat upon a high wooden chair. This I knew to be Ysgramor, father of Skyrim and the Nords. I approached and knelt before him. "You find yourself in Sovngarde, hall of the honored dead. Now what would you have of me, son of the North?" he bellowed. "I seek counsel," said I, "for tomorrow we fight a desperate battle, and my heart is full of fear." Ysgramor raised his tankard to his lips and drank until the cup was empty. Then he spoke once more. "Remember this always, son of the North. A Nord is judged not by the manner in which he lived, but the manner in which he died." With that he cast aside his flagon, raised his fist in the air, and roared a great cheer. The other heroes rose to their feet and cheered in answer. The sound still rang in my ears when I awoke. I gathered my men and told them of my vision. The words seemed to fill their hearts with courage. "The horns are blowing and the banners are raised. The time has come to muster. May Talos grant us victory this day, and if I am found worthy, may I once again look upon that great feast hall. Skardan Freewinter." Alright, he's back. So let's go into his corner now. Oh good, I can hide from him, but because I'm still in his line of sight, he won't come after me. That's perfect. Let's get all the stuff off of these little shelves. Drop that iron dagger back here. Cast courage at it a couple more times. Hey, an iron arrow. Why yes, I would like to steal that. And a book, The Black Arrow V2. Archery increased to 18. So let me take that off the book list. Let me go look at my free skill boosts for archery. I had 12. It drops to 11 now. There are 4 skill books left to find. The Black Arrow Part 2 by Gorgic Gwyn. On the last dinner in my employ at the palace, the Duchess, quite surprisingly, had invited the Mayor of Maliva and Master Hiomaste himself among her other guests. The servants' gossip was manic. The mayor had been there before, albeit very irregularly, but Hiomaste's presence was unthinkable. What could she mean by such a conciliatory gesture? The dinner itself progressed along with perfect if slightly cool civility among all parties. Hiomaste and the Duchess were both very quiet. The mayor tried to engage the group in a discussion of the Emperor Pelagius IV's new son and heir Uriel, but it failed to spark much interest. Lady Villia, elderly but much more vivacious than her sister the Duchess, led most of the talk about crime and scandal in Eldenroot. I have been encouraging her to move out to the country, away from all that unpleasantness, for years now, the Duchess said, meeting the eyes of the mayor. We've been discussing more recently the possibility of her building a palace on Maliva Hill, but there's so little space there, as you know. Fortunately, we've come to a discovery. There is a wide field just a few days west on the edge of the river, ideally suited. It sounds perfect, the mayor smiled and turned to Lady Villia. When will your ladyship begin building? The very day you move your village to the site, replied the Duchess of Woda. The mayor turned to her to see if she was joking. She obviously was not. Think of how much more commerce you could bring to your village if you were close to the river, said Lady Villia jovially. And Master Hiomaste's students could have easier access to his fine school. Everyone would benefit. I know it would put my sister's heart to ease if there was less trespassing and poaching on her lands. There is no poaching or trespassing on your lands now, your grace, frowned Hiomaste. You do not own the jungle, nor will you. The villagers may be persuaded to leave, that I don't know, but my school will stay where it is. The dinner party never really recovered happily. Hiomaste and the mayor excused themselves, and my services, such as they were not needed in the drawing room where the group went to have drinks. There was no laughter to be heard through the walls that evening. The next day, even though there was a dinner planned for the evening, I left on my usual walk to Maliva. Before I had even reached the drawbridge, the guard held me back. "Where are you going, Gorgic? Not to the village, are you?" "Why not?" He pointed to the plume of smoke in the distance. "A fire broke out very early this morning, and it's still going. Apparently it started at Master Hiomaste's school. It looks like the work of some traveling brigands." "Blessed Stendar," I cried. "Are the students alive?" "No one knows, but it'd be a miracle if any survived. It was late, and most everyone was sleeping. I know they've already found the master's body, or what was left of it, and they also found that girl, your friend, Prolissa." I spent the day in a state of shock. It seemed inconceivable what my instinct told me, that the two noble old ladies, Lady Villia and the Duchess of Woda, had arranged for a village and a school that irritated them to be reduced to ashes. At dinner they mentioned the fire in Maliva only very briefly, as if it were not news at all, but I did see the Duchess smile for the first time ever. It was a smile I will not forget until the day I die. The next morning, I had resolved to go to the village and see if I could be of any assistance to the survivors. I was passing through the servants' hall to the grand foyer when I heard the sound of a group of people ahead. The guards and most of the servants were there, pointing at the portrait of the Duchess that hung in the center of the hall. There was a single black bolt of ebony piercing the painting, right at the Duchess's heart. I recognized it at once. It was one of Missun Akin's arrows I had seen in his quiver, forged, he said, in the bowels of Dagothur itself. My first reaction was relief. The Dunmer, who had been kind enough to give me a ride to the palace, had survived the fire. My second reaction was echoed by all present in the hall. How had the vandal gotten past the guards, the gate, the moat, and the massive iron door? The Duchess, arriving shortly after I, was clearly furious, though she was too well bred to show it but by raising her web-thin eyebrows. She wasted no time in assigning all her servants to new duties to keep the palace grounds guarded at all times. We were given regular shifts and precise, narrow patrols. The next morning, despite all precautions, there was another black arrow piercing the Duchess's portrait. So it continued for a week's time. The Duchess saw to it that at least one person was always present in the foyer, but somehow the arrow always found its way to her painting whenever the guards' eyes were momentarily averted. A complex series of signals were devised, so each patrol could report back any sounds or disturbances they encountered during their vigil. At first, the Duchess arranged them so her castellan would receive record of any disturbances during the day, and the chief of the guard during the night. But when she found that she could not sleep, she made certain that the information came to her directly. The atmosphere in the palace had shifted from gloomy to nightmarish. A snake would slither across the moat, and suddenly her grace would be tearing through the east wing to investigate. A strong gust of wind, ruffling the leaves on one of the few trees in the lawn, was a similar emergency. An unfortunate lone traveler on the road in front of the palace, a completely innocent man as it turned out, brought such a violent reaction that he must have thought that he had stumbled on a war. In a way, he had. And every morning there was a new arrow in the front hall, mocking her. I was given the terrible assignment of guarding the portrait for a few hours in the early morning. Not wanting to be the one to discover the arrow, I seated myself in a chair opposite, never letting my eyes move away for even a second. I don't know if you've had the experience of watching one object relentlessly, but it has a strange effect. All other senses vanish. That was why I was particularly startled when the Duchess rushed into the room, blurring the gulf for me between her portrait and herself. "There's something moving behind the tree across the road from the gate," she roared, pushing me aside and fumbling with her key in the gold lock. She was shaking with madness and excitement, and the key did not seem to want to go in. I reached out to help her, but the Duchess was already kneeling, her eye to the keyhole, to be certain that the key went through. It was precisely in that second that the arrow arrived, but this one never made it as far as the portrait. I actually met Missun Akin years later, while I was in Morrowind to entertain some nobles. He was impressed that I had risen from being a humble domestic servant to being a bard of some renown. He himself had returned to the Ashlands, and like his old master Hiomaste, was retired to the simple life of teaching and hunting. I told him that I had heard that Lady Villia had decided not to leave the city, and that the village of Modiva had been rebuilt. He was happy to hear that, but I could not find a way to ask him what I really wanted to know. I felt like a fool just wondering if what I thought were true, that he had been behind Prolissa's tree across the road from the gate every morning that summer, firing an arrow through the gate, across the lawn, across the moat, through a keyhole, and into a portrait of the Duchess of Woda, until he struck the Duchess herself. It was clearly an impossibility. I chose not to ask. As we left one another that day and he was waving goodbye, he said, "I am pleased to see you doing so well, my friend. I am happy you moved that chair." Alright, well, we got everything from his counter. That leaves 2 tables, the fire pit, that corner, and the bedroom he's in.
You tried mercenary work? It might suit you.
I was about to say we can typically get into this corner without aggravating him too bad, but there he is. You know, it might serve me well to leave and pop back in, because that'll reset him to his counter. And as long as I don't leave his line of sight, he'll stay there. Illusion to 37. Awesome.
Hard-headed sometimes.
Alright, let's start with...
I love it just the same.
Well, now we're inside of Amryn, which is a problem. But we can clear this table right quick. Okay, good. Now let's get this corner. That leaves that table, the fire pit, and the bedroom. He can see me here. I kind of need to wait for him to go to the other side of his counter, which he will do. In the meantime, it's probably easiest to, well...
Need something?
These move pretty fast. For the fire pit, it's probably easiest just to move everything over and then pick it up. There's that. Let's grab this last little cast iron pot and give it the same treatment. Now, we have this table and the bedroom. I'm usually able to hide over here. There he goes. He's switching corner counters. Perfect. Now we can clear this table. No fuss. And that just leaves the bedroom. Then we'll be done with the Drunken Huntsman. Let's pop in here. Shut the door. Get these ruined books off the shelf. Raid this sack. And this chest. Okay, now look here. We've got some important things. 8 gold. Let me pull up my gear checklist. Here's a goat hide. I needed 4 more, so this one drops that number to 3. I needed 33 more leather strips. 10 drops that to 23. And I need 8 saber cat snow pelts. So with this, that number drops to 7. Very good. Now we are done. Now I think we've been going a solid hour, so I'm going to offload and then call it a video. So first let's see what Elrendir can buy. Food. Perfect. Now, let me see what time it is. I'm just going to wait until 8 a.m. so everybody else is open. Go visit Belethor.
Very much for your business.
Illusion to 38. Very good. Cost of muffle is down to 112.
I trust you aren't any thievery.
Go cast your fancy magic someplace
Alright.
else.
I think next I'm going to do Severio Pelagia's house. That'll include talking to him, picking his pockets, and clearing his house. Now, we have already done
I'm sure you'll
a favor for him,
every trinkets, odds
and
and ends,
so
that sort of thing.
things in his house are already free for us to take, which is pretty cool. Not much in the way of stuff to sell,
Do come back.
which is fine by me.
Hands to yourself, sneak thief.
Cast that one more time, and pull up Mage Light, and travel to Anissa's cabin. You can kind of get into a rhythm, and it helps, and we're close to eliminating a lot of things off the list. We'll be done with leather strips in particular pretty soon, which is good because it'll allow us to start smithing. That goes in there, that goes in there, all three of those, and that. Oh yeah, I found something I actually need to disenchant. I almost forgot. That Ring of Minor Illusion. Well, I guess we'll take care of that right quick, too. Yeah, well, let me put everything else away. In here we put the goat hide, the leather strips, and the saber cat snow pelt. In here we stick the amethyst and the sapphire. I think that covers everything. In here we'll put these ingredients we found. And for that, let's not forget, we need to go, number one, put on the mage stone. Oh, by the way, since we hit level 30, we're ready to start. We'll get the pointer for another Daedric quest, Boethia's. At some point, we're gonna get attacked by a pretty powerful Boethia cultist. He just shows up out in the wilderness and, you know, tries to murder us. So be on alert for that. Oh, and in fact, I think I hear him. When you get to level 30, there he is.
Never should have come here.
See how strong he
At
is?
last, a worthy opponent.
Yeah, we're in trouble here. Big trouble. This is not tenable. Need to run away.
You'll beg me to kill you before I'm done.
Yeah, let me hop up somewhere and get some healing done. Yeah, speak of the devil and he shall appear, right? This happens when you hit level 30. Restoration went up to 23. I think I saw heavy armor increase on that first bananas hit he scored. Down we go.
No one crosses me.
Get over here. Block all you want. Two-handed to 53. Well, that's nice. This is the strongest enemy we've fought so far by far.
Beg me to kill
Heavy
you
armor to
before I'm
33.
done.
That's neat. There, we got it. Thank goodness, too. That was close. And so we get a new miscellaneous objective. Investigate the Boethia cultist. Do we have anything useful here? We do. Leather armor. Well, 100 gold, 2 lockpicks. Leather armor is an upgrade from Imperial light armor. I think I have scaled bracers, so those are just vendor. Fur shoes, bread, dwarven war axe, and a book, Boethia's Proving. That completes the investigate Boethia cultist objective. He is far too powerful for me to reanimate, that I know already. So, let me make that armor trade right quick. Did I get my rest? I think I did. Yes, good. Quickly, let's disenchant the Ring of Minor Illusion, like I wanted to do. It gets us the Fortify Illusion enchantment. Very good, very good. Enchanting increased to 46, also good. Now let's make that armor swap. Imperial Light armor is out. Leather armor is in. Perfect. Okay, good. Keep healing up. Now I have a bunch of stuff to sell. But I want to finish healing first. And we need to read that book, Boethia's Proving. So let's do that. Started. Boethia's Calling. Find the Shrine of Boethia. Let me look at my journal first. I found a book that mentioned a cult of Boethia in the mountains near Windhelm. Yeah, we'll do that when we get there. It'll take us a while, but that's no problem. Let me take that off the list. And now let's actually read the book. Boethia's Proving. The following account is true. May it serve as a warning to those with ears to hear and hearts to know. On a certain day at a certain time the faithful gathered to perform certain rituals, hoping to gain a glimpse of their master. The day was correct, the summoning true. Slashing a smoking tear through the veil, she, her very self, appeared before them, terrible and resplendent. She came arrayed in ebony, darker than a moonless night, wielding a blade burning hotter than the surface of the sun. And though she wore the guise of a Dunmer warrior queen, she towered above them like a statue carved from the Red Mountain itself. Why have you disturbed me? Surprised, the first among them prayed, O Boethia, prince of plots, deceiver of nations, queen of shadows, goddess of destruction, we come to worship thee. She looked down upon her followers, gathered to bear witness. Frowning, she asked the first, Tell me, you who profess to know me, how shall I know you? Afeard, he exclaimed, Each night I pray to thee, each night I call out thy wondrous names. Surely thou must recognize the sound of my voice, thy most devoted of believers. She frowned and let out a long sigh, and then of a sudden he was gone, the air from her lungs dispersing him. Turning to the second, she asked, And you? How shall I measure the worth of your existence? Stunned by the power of her voice, he bowed before her darkening visage. She clapped her hands, and he too was gone. To the third, And you, tell me, how shall I know you apart from such as were they, of whom there is no trace? Shaken and speechless from the nullifications of his brethren, he whispered, Have mercy upon us. She blinked twice. Once he was in agony, twice he was destroyed. She cast a withering glance across those remaining and said, I do not grant mercy. And so it was with the others. She putting them to proof, they offering none. Finally she came to me, eyes aglow with anger, tongue wet with hate, and said, Of all my believers, but 2 remain. Tell me, second to last, with what shall you prove your existence? Without hesitation I drew forth my blade and buried it into the chest of the other who stood beside me, and without fear replied, Ask him whose blood now sprouts from my blade if I exist. She smiled, and the gates of oblivion opened between her teeth. Then she said, Tell me, now last of my followers, wherefore do you remain where the others do not? I retrieved my blade and offered it up, saying, I am alive because that one is dead. I exist because I have the will to do so, and I shall remain as long as there are signs of my handiwork, such as the blood dripping from this blade. Accepting my gift, she nodded and said, Indeed. If in the reading your blood boils in your veins, and your mind blazons with fire, then Boethia calls you. It is then most wise to heed her call. Find her on the mount which overlooks Windhelm. Meet us there and be tested. Okay, so I need to finish healing, and I got a few more things to sell. Namely his armor and weapons, and maybe some bread. healing. We could just fast travel and get the health back, but it's worth it for the restoration experience. Let's put Mage Light back on. Don't forget to put Thief Stone back on. And now let's fast travel back to Whiterun. So we offloaded everything useful. All we need to do is sell his stuff, and then I'll call it a video. 720.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What?
I forgot to switch back to Courage, but you'll notice that Alteration increased to 16. That much is good. Let's get up to Bellathor's really quickly before 8 o'clock hits. Actually, let me look through here right quick and make sure I'm not overlooking anything. Nope. Good. So let's just pop in here and sell that stuff.
I work for Bellathor, General Prince.
Some may call this junk. Me,
We
I
can
call
sell
them
him
treasure.
the Dwarven War Axe, the fur shoes, the Imperial Light Armor, the leather bracers, the bread, and Boethia's Proving.
Do come back.
Let's head back out. I'm gonna park at the door to Severio's house. And I'm going to save and call it a video. This has been Let's Play Skyrim. We're tackling Whiterun. We dealt with both guard barracks and the Drunken Huntsman. Next time we'll start with Severio Pelagia's house and probably go somewhere else from there. So until then, I thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.